tonight this is unscheduled, of course, and just never know when you're gonna have time and people are around. And so caught up with two of my buddies, Brian and Pillbox, and we're just gonna chit chat. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Hello, Brian. 528 west of the Rockies, south of the 33rd parallel. You were listening to the Bible Literalist channel. Welcome to the end of the world.
Yeah, no joke. As we see it, as we live it.
The end of the world as we know it. And I
Hey,
In the
wasn't
minds
there?
of people, yeah, in the minds of people, it ended for them because they lost their daddy government.
well, they're
Wasn't
gonna
it?
get it though. I mean, it's
Wasn't there?
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna mention real quick. Wasn't there a song by REM?
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And I thought I updated the titles, but the update button is grayed out, and I don't know why. So it doesn't say random chat yet. It's still got my previous title. So I'll see if that can let me change that later. But right for now, we're stuck with when you see all these things. So just FYI, I'll change it later.
It's
So
actually a very appropriate title, though.
yeah, that's true. But I did have a two-part series going, and I'm like, no, I don't want to call it that. Oh well. Yeah, I don't know why it's grayed out, but okay. So, got somebody in chat says I've been hearing the world was ending since the '70s. I think it's been longer than that, but I'm pretty sure having if you look at history at all, whatever people are saying, it hasn't been like this before, in my
Correct.
opinion. What do you guys think?
Correct. I agree totally. N- Nothing like this has happened before. I mean, they came close a few times, but nothing. I mean, there's no way out of this. No matter where you're at, you're stuck. And that's what really sucks is when you come to that point of view. I mean, some of us go through a small, you can call it a breakdown when we're trying to figure things out. And then all of a sudden, you come to realize that there's nothing you can do, but at the same time, you got to bear with it.
Right.
And at least that's what happened with me. I spent like 3 days where I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to go about it. And then all of a sudden, it just dawned on me that there's nothing I can do, and there's no sense of worrying when there's nothing you can do. We prepped as
Right.
much as we can prep, and that's it. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I agree because it's just a healthy way to go through life. There's always going to be stuff you can't do anything about. I mean, you try to do what you can, but you got to reach a point. There's some old proverb or prayer that goes something like, "God, give me the grace to," and I'm going to mess up the wording, but accept the things I can't change, change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, something like that.
Right. No. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. You pretty much had it.
yeah. As
It's.
far as you got, just FYI, you got your camera on, but the only thing that's showing on the screen is
I know.
my desktop right now, so that's not
Yep.
going over there. So,
It wouldn't bother me anyway.
all right,
You know me. I don't care.
yeah.
But that's why my name's Brian Verbal.
Is that why?
That's why I put it out there. I put it out there since the day one. Literally before I started my show, way back when we were all hanging out, I had
Hmm.
to talk with my wife, and I said, "Well, if I put my name out there, I said it's already going to be out there with the YT uh, algorithms anyway." I said, "However, I said with me putting my name out there, that puts my name out there with other people and other. It just puts my name more out there."
Right.
So when I did that, I had to talk with my wife, and I explained to her that, hey, with what I'm doing, I could be marking us. I could be hurting us in the long run, depending on what happens in the next 5, 10 years. Remember, we talked about this in our live streams years ago, that the crap was going to hit within 5 or 10 years. We said that. And here it is. It's at our door. I guess they can only hear you.
They can only hear me, but they can't hear you guys?
I guess so.
As I was afraid of, I mean, it's the view meter is working. I mean,
Weird. Periscope down. Unbelievable.
I thought that was it.
Hey,
Well,
Teddy, can you hear us? Okay, they can hear us.
okay.
They can hear us. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh, psych. Very good. Psychological warfare there. Nice. Thanks.
I was going crazy. It's like, well, now what do I do? I mean, if it says desktop audio is giving me a volume meter, then it should be piping to YouTube. So I don't know. I wouldn't know what else to do.
Okay, I forgot where we were at, but anyway.
But they meant they couldn't hear me. That's because I wasn't talking. Go ahead.
Is that
Right
too
on.
weird? What do you mean he's not talking?
Hey, take over for a second. I gotta get something real quick.
Alrighty. So
And I don't know who the person was, Paula, in chat that mentioned that about the end of the world. Because who was that again?
Isaiah 40:22.
I just met this gentleman a few days ago, actually, and I I blame me for him being here. What's going on? Yeah, he's right, and thanks for being here. And I've been saying this for a long time. Bible literalists and I are actually veterans. We have done this for a very long time, and as far back as 2016, I was saying end of the internet, because I knew that there weren't a lot of places where you could go to find the truth. And once you came to basically Paula being a Bible literalist, and then we formed a small corner, that was it. That's the end of the internet. So that's what we do on the internet. We play on words as much as possible until we are red in the face. We would literally misuse it so much, right? So I've changed it to welcome to the end of the world. It's just one word different, nothing new. Honestly, this world's been ending for quite some time. We don't even have any freedom. We don't even have any fake freedom. People are giving everything up, and it's really, you guys got to realize this. And I'm glad you're here, Isaiah 40:22, because people have caused this. Yes, of course, there's evil of the government and the deceptions of this world, but the people are the ones that allowed it. Sorry to say, they allowed this.
Yes. No, wearing the masks and letting everything happen the way it does, and letting everything roll instead of putting your foot down. That's exactly what happened. Exactly. Hey, I gotta say something. I just noticed something. It's off topic. Any other channel that I'm on, if I give a thumbs up, it goes up 2. Every other channel. This channel, I give a thumbs up, it goes up 1. I just wanted to point that out. Sorry.
We're special here, aren't we?
Crazy. But anyway, go ahead.
No, it's just nice to have you guys on. We don't get to do that as much as we used to. Everybody gets busy and trying to prep this or that, and just keep your head above water. But yeah, I just keep watching. I don't get too deep into any of the theories about what is or isn't going on. I mean, I know what to expect from prophecy, but details before then is the question. And you can drive yourself crazy trying to chase down every rabbit trail that people put out, about what they think is really going on without saying any trigger words. You know what I mean? About who's really in charge, who's really taking over. But I remember back in the forum days, like 10 years ago, saying, because people are like, we got to take down the powers that be, the deep state, And I said, watch out for that, because when it happens, everybody in the conspiracy realm is going to fall for it and go, yay, we finally won, and put their guard down and not know it's something even worse. Because at first it'll seem pretty benign, and everybody, they want to push like universal basic income.
Right.
at the price of you doing exactly what they say, which is give up your property, your real estate if you have any, and wear the mask, take the vaccines, do whatever they tell you, and be a good social credit person, just like China. Whoops, I said that word. Just like that place in the East. And then you will be able to live a happy, normal life. And they're pushing for that hard. That's all over the
Well,
news. Yeah, go ahead.
that's the whole. Okay, after the letter P is the next letter that I can't say. Is the whole after P movement. What
Mm-hmm.
that did was that divided the truth community. And that got people thinking that, oh, hey, when this inauguration happens, everybody's going to be arrested. And that's what they claimed. All this stuff was going to happen. Well, guess what? Nothing happened. And now you have all these troops. I have not heard once about these troops being now deployed away or being taken away. Why are these troops still there? And it's not just one capital they did. I heard that there was many capitals that they sent troops to. So they got troops all over sitting for what? I mean, they're still sitting. What's
Right.
going on?
The narrative is in the mainstream that they expected all these conservative uprisings everywhere, like the sky is falling. But nobody in their right mind believes that because A, they have since made it clear that it was the anti group that's been doing all the
Right.
rioting that did that stuff in Washington, and B, that it's just, they never batted an eye when the cities out west were being trashed and burned and marked out as sovereign territories and all that. They didn't,
Right.
they were all in favor of that kind of an uprising. But now when it's on the other foot, so they say, that's just their narrative again, now they're against it. So, and they're trying to undo every gain that was made on behalf of the people as fast as they can.
Yep.
And foreign countries that have been sworn enemies of ours are happy with how things are now. And so
Yep.
then the question is, okay, what are the troops really doing in those places? What's their purpose? It looks an awful lot like um, not capitalist countries of the past. Whenever a new leader was installed, they had to protect themselves from the people because they hate the people.
Mm-hmm.
The people
Mm-hmm.
hate them, and that's what you do when you have that kind of a situation: is you surround yourself with troops. But who the troops are loyal to can change from one day to the next.
Exactly.
So,
Now, let me say something on that one. I don't know if you remember about a year to year and a half ago. Well, maybe I wasn't on with you guys, but I got on a few places and explained that I had family members and friends that were told they weren't supposed to reenlist for a little bit, but they were asked to reenlist. And then they asked, well, what's going on? And their general or whoever it was explained to them, well, this is what's going on. And they told them everything that's happening about what they're going to do to the people. And they said, no, they're not going to do it. And well, then they were told, well, then you better head home and stock up. And that's what they did. Now, at the same time, we have this whole, what happened was you had all the good people go home. And now all the rest of them are willing to push problems on the people. They literally said, "Are you willing to uh, take disarm your fellow Americans? Are you willing to fire on your fellow Americans?" And 70% of them signed re-enlisted. 70%. So if those are the ones that are in control and going to be coming to your house or catching you at a checkpoint, and then you try to turn around and leave, and then they pull you over and whatever. We're dealing with that 70% of people. So we have a problem, and that's we just do. We have a big issue that we have to address in a way, and there, in a way, there's no way to address it because there's nothing we can do. I stocked up about 6 months, 9 months ago. I actually started raising chickens. I went from hacker to chickens farmer, and literally, it's crazy. And now that I know that they're going to be uh, sending people that don't want to take the bug juice, uh, they're going to be sending them to, let's just say, camps because they don't want to take it, and they're literally setting it up so because they're. I don't know if you saw this. I can't find a link right now, but there's a link where they're trying to say that anybody that is going against this, they have a mental problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now diagnosing it and setting it up as anybody that doesn't want to do the mask or take the bug juice has a mental problem, has a mental disorder. So they need to re-educate us. So some of us, it even says in the paperwork that some will be given the option to take the bug juice and then go home, and some will not. That means the people that are awake, most likely everybody that's in here listening that's awake, anybody that you guys know that's awake, odds are we're all marked. So it's crazy. I, I'm I'm at that point where I had a talk with my wife, and we literally went over everything. And if things hit the fan here, we're either gonna. I suggest, and I've been suggesting this for a while, that if somebody has a lot of land, invite a bunch of people that you know close to you onto it, so you guys can at least, you're not in small pockets if you have that choice. The small pockets, like where I'm at, are going to be taken over quickly. If you have bigger pockets of people, well, you have a better chance, but you're still you're trying to avoid avoid the inevitable, and that's what's coming. And so, I even at one point was looking at my chickens, going, "Did I waste my time?" I'm wondering, like, did I do all this for nothing? Because they're just gonna try to do what they're gonna force what they're gonna force. So in a way, you know, I thought I did it for nothing, but then it was something that you said to me, Paula, when I addressed this issue with you at one point. You had made the comment to me that anything that we're doing might be setting it up for somebody else.
Right.
And that made sense to me. That's one thing that got me going, okay. Maybe I am setting everything up and it ain't for me. I'm setting it up for somebody else. But at the same time, you know, who's that somebody else? I mean, you're going to have people getting sick from taking this bug juice like they are. Round 1, round 2, everybody's getting sick. So they're either getting sick or dying, most likely. And the percentage of people that are getting sick or dying is bigger than the percentage of people who supposedly have uh, this thing that they're saying that we have that's going around. So anyway, that's all I got right there.
Yeah, the thing is that this has always been an issue with, on a more subtle level for a long time, where they do trial runs like they do it in Africa or places like that, where they think nobody's paying attention, nobody cares, they don't have the media coverage. of course, now we know what media coverage is propaganda. That's all it is. It's all it was supposed to be, especially in the Western world, where the purpose of media is not to report news, it's to control thought. And
Correct.
so what's going on is really just the tip of the iceberg as far as what led up to it. And that's what people don't understand. They think, oh, all we have to do is wait for the next election. All we have to do is get the right political group together and we'll take care of it next time. It's already way past too late for that. And I'm
Yep.
not saying people shouldn't try if they think they have a chance. Go ahead. I'm not stopping anybody from doing anything. But I'm just saying, if you learn from history, if you've been paying attention and you're not just accepting what the mainstream gives you, then this game has been going on for generations. And for example, the Act of 1871 for the U.S. is where they created the city-state Washington, D.C. It's not a legitimate seat of government. It's its own city-state. It has nothing to do with the United States. It took it over and usurped it as a fake government authority. And then after that, they, in 1913, was the Federal Reserve Act, where we were all robbed at the point of a pen on Christmas Eve while everybody was on vacation. They signed this into law, basically robbed us all of our real money and traded us for game tokens that are good for debts. And they basically sell us back our money at interest. And that's why the IRS exists. They're the muscle. They're the collection for the feds
Correct.
And the income tax only goes to pay interest on that illegitimate loan. So people will say, oh, if we don't pay our taxes, this and that and the other, we won't have. And that's not even true. But the problem is we're all using their game tokens. So we're in their game. So we have to play by their rules.
Right.
And the international bankers were what some of the early founders fought against, won for a little bit, and then he ultimately lost. But Washington is one city-state, one of the three. There's always three. Vatican is another, and the Corporation of London, a mile city block inside London, is the third. London rules, as far as anybody can tell, rules the other two, believe it or not. Of course, the Vatican is religious arm. Washington is the used to be military industrial, but we hardly make anything anymore. And I would say mostly propaganda, Ministry of Propaganda from 1984.
Yep.
And London is the finance. And the finance is the old money and the old bloodlines. They really all tie into Corporation of London. And so it's all illegitimate. It's all been a farce and a circus to get people to think that they live in a free country and won some kind of revolutionary war. Nothing of the sort happened. And now they're seeing finally the fruits of it, because what they had to do, since America started out as people fleeing religious persecution and wanting to be free to have their freedom of conscience, it took a long time to root that out, and they did it through the schools and the media. Because if people are only looking at the government, they will keep failing because they've done nothing about the schools and the media. If you wanted to get things back the way they're supposed to be, that's what you have to do. You have to totally rip those things out and start over. And they're not looking at that because they don't have long enough history. So,
Right.
They're not going to solve the problem. And now it's worldwide. It used to be you could go to some desert island, claim it for your own and eke out your existence, raise your chickens and plant your crops and live your life. But now you can't do that. There's surveillance everywhere. There's ships everywhere. There's stuff in the sky spying on you. How far up in the sky, we can't say. But,
well, yeah, the pirates took over.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
There's no place to go. And
there's none. You're right.
They've got insect drones that could inject you whether you like it or not. You wouldn't even know it. Little fake mosquitoes.
Yep. Yep.
They've got drones. They've got smart sand. We knew about that for decades. Um,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
People, if they were paying attention, they would realize that this has been a multi generational plot against mankind to render us obsolete, except for the entertainment value we give to the overlords and whatever perverse fun they want to have with us. And most of all, they want our worship. They want to be gods. They want to be so different from us genetically,
Yeah.
technologically, ideologically. They make us dumb. They make us sick. And they make us, not believe history. They want to get rid of the Bible, something fierce. And
Yep.
because it exposes them. And they're accomplishing that with every possible venue. They got the food, they got the water, the air, they've got our
100%.
information. You know, what do people expect? We still have pitchforks and torches. They have laser beams.
Yeah, they got suppression weapons. That's the
Yeah.
one thing that okay. About it was about 3 months ago, on the Great Lakes. I live right near Mackinac. I live right near Mackinac Bridge. And all of a sudden, for like 3 days, 4 days, more like a week straight, there was this weird fog over the Great Lakes. And I thought something was odd because fog settles. This was a rolling fog. So it told me something's just weird. So every day I took my wife to work, I would film the fog trying to see if I could see anything. On the last day that when I got there, at one point the fog was lifting and I saw freighters coming in. So I took my regular camera and I was able to zoom in, and then as soon as I got zoomed in, it would back out.
Hmm.
So then I would zoom into a different area, be able to zoom in further and see. But then when I pulled my camera over and looked and tried to zoom in back at because with my other one, I was able to see that they had tanks, they had suppression vehicles, Humvees, they had everything. And when I saw that, and then all of a sudden my camera couldn't zoom in, so I couldn't take a picture, that told me something that, wait a second, they got everything locked down. Got to remember, I used to build cell phone towers, and I know how the communication side works, and I also know how that when they're building these things, they're pushing out radiation.
Right.
People do not realize, like me, I have no Wi-Fi at my house. I do everything. I'm hardlined in. When I come home, I turn my phone off. The whole 9 yards. It's so they got put my how do I say this? My sister and her kids ended up having to do homeschool for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and they ended up giving them free Wi-Fi and free iPads. So what is that doing? Now you're pumping radiation in everybody's house, and with the laptops, you're sitting there with a laptop right on you. What does your phone say? Anybody ever read their insert on their phone where it says it's not supposed to be more than 12 to 17 inches away from your body when you're using it, but they always show it right up to your face? People aren't realizing they're telling you right in the insert that it's bad for you. It can actually hurt you. However, they show you listening right to your ear. So most people, when they get their phones, they don't even read that insert. They just throw it out with the rest, and that's it. I'm that guy that reads everything. I read the inserts. I do, I read through everything. I'm that guy. You know what I mean? So it just, it's crazy. They're putting all this, everything that's coming at us, like we were just talking, and they're putting Wi-Fi, and that's radiation, in everybody's houses, and just pumping it. Now they shut down most of the schools for a little bit. Around here, I watched them repurpose the schools. And now all the schools are being pumped full of Wi-Fi and stuff like that, 5G.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do? You know what I mean? That's when my grandma was dying last year. I was going downstairs every once in a while so I could hit my vape. And what I noticed was, as I'm walking through, because of my experience with the Wi-Fi or the cell phone towers and how radiation works and all that, I have major nerve issues because of it. However, and everybody I know that works in that industry only works there for 5 or 10 years, and then they have major problems. I forgot where I was going. Crap.
That never happens to me.
Hold on one second. Okay, I think I got it. With the Wi-Fi being pumped the way it is, people aren't realizing what is really going on. And so they got us with the bug juice. They got us with the we don't know what's on the swabs like we talked. We don't know. And now at the same time, oh, I know what I was saying. When I was in seeing my grandma, as I'm walking through, heading downstairs, all I see is Wi-Fi. They're using Wi-Fi for their computers, so it's being pumped throughout the whole facility, and you got all these old folks that are dying, and they're getting worse and worse and worse, and they're not putting that connection together. Even when I talked to my nerve doctor and I explained, hey, I think this was from when I was working on the cell phone towers. As soon as I said that and sent her information of how it really works, they dropped me as a client. I had to go see another doctor because I pointed out the obvious, and they knew it. Now, on the other hand, as I go downstairs and I'm sitting hitting my vape, I look over and I see an OB where the kids come out. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, wow, they have us getting bug juice as soon as you're born. And then on the way out, they turn around and pump you full of Wi-Fi. And then the people that are dying, they turn around and give them no food, no water, and morphine. That's it.
Yeah.
And what that's doing is it's making your body cannibalize itself. That's going against God. That's making your body literally eat itself until you die. And when I saw them doing that, I literally put so many things together in the last year that I didn't see before. That it woke me up, totally woke me up. And then this happened. But this was happening. This started when she was having issues. And I explained that when I was talking with my relatives there, I'm like, this is about to get worse, guys. And I explained everything. And now they turned around and they're messaging me like, what do you think is going to happen next? You know, because they didn't believe me. They believed me, but everything was still normal in certain areas.
Right. Exactly.
At that time. And everybody was getting complacent. Just like even with my wife. In the area we are at, we don't wear a mask even in Walmart. Okay? So Walmart, all these stores. There's only 3 stores in my town that force us to wear masks. And even in those ones, I still walk in without one and I put up a fight. That's it. You know what I mean? I say it's mandatory, but show me the penal code. Show me.
Right. There's no law. It's not a law. It's an edict.
Yep, exactly. So in my town, everybody knows, or everybody's starting to wake up to what's going on. And I'm telling you right now, 70 to 80% of my town is not taking the bug juice or the swab. So they're going to have major problems in certain towns. Major. I mean, everybody I know around here, I live up north where we're hunters. So we're all gun-toting Americans. And a lot of us we're at the same we're telling everybody, well, if they're going to do what they're going to do, well, we're going to go down fighting. We don't have a choice. It is what it is. Some people are going to have to end up getting taken to the camps or whatever, but I'm not. Me and my wife both agreed. We're not letting them swab us. We're not letting them give us the bug juice. So that means there's only one outcome for us. That's it, and we understand that. My fear of dying is gone. This year, I lost my fear. Gone. I'm not worried about it one bit because I know I'm going home.
Exactly.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I finally came to that conclusion that nope, I'm going home, so it doesn't matter. You better try to wake people up as much as you can before you go home. And that's why I'm out now doing what I'm doing. I was off. I didn't do nothing for a year or two. And just in the last like 6 months, I've been getting on and expressing on other people's channels what's going on. And everything we've been talking about for the last 5 years is all coming true. Everything.
Yep.
And go ahead.
I was going to say the reason people don't, they mock conspiracy theorists is because the problem is seeing things sooner because we're looking and we aren't afraid of new ideas and crazy ideas, we'll check them out. And because of that, we'll see things coming 20, 30 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll warn people about it because that far ahead you can do something about it. But if you wait until everybody sees it, it's already too late, which is where we
Right.
are right now because
Exactly.
it doesn't matter if they finally see that we were right, you know, because there's nothing to be done
Exactly.
about it now.
No, that's you know, the thing I always tell people is what's sad is I didn't want to be right about this. When
Right.
I got family members messaging me saying, "Hey, can you tell me what's going on next?" You were right. I always message them back saying, "This ain't about me being right." I said, since I was right, I told them, "Hey, whenever I'm right, things are bad."
Yeah.
That that's exactly what happens, except for me playing poker and baccarat. And, and that's where everything
Yeah.
usually goes good. But other than that, it's just oh, and that's another thing that stopped me from making an income. I was traveling back and forth 3, 4 times a year minimum, going from Detroit to Vegas, playing poker and baccarat. As soon as this whole thing happened, where this I don't want to say the word with C, but as soon as this whole thing happened, I no longer can go play poker or baccarat. Why? If I go and play and I'm sitting at a table that somebody else just came from another place that all of a sudden was hot, now I have to quarantine myself. And not only quarantine myself, if I make it home and something happens, my whole family has to quarantine themselves. On top of that, my wife, she works at a hotel industry. If somebody comes in with this C word, okay, uh, she now has to be quarantined for 10 to 14 days. Now, let me talk about something real quick. I got I got two friends, or a friend and his sister. She's a nurse and he's a vet. Every friend of mine that's a vet, that's about between 40, I'd say 50 and say 70. every one of them came down with the C word when they went in to go get tested from their doctors. They had to. They had to get tested because they're vets. And they were told that they had 10 to 14 days that they had to be quarantined. Within that 10 to 14 days, I sent a bunch of links to my buddy explaining how this is all bogus. And he started sending the links to his sister, which was the nurse. Now, they got a call on the 10th day saying that they're clear to go. However, they were supposed to take another test to make sure they were clear. They never did. They just told them, you're good to go. So the nurse, his sister, started looking into it and then found out that she's going to have to take the bug juice just to continue working soon. And we don't know if they're getting a placebo. Because, some of these people that are supposedly getting it, they're either getting it or not getting it and getting the certificate, or they're just getting a placebo. And
No, I'm sorry, Brian. Real quick, why do they have to take it?
okay, which part?
Let me just skip right to the part. Why do these people have to take this thing is it for employment?
Yes.
Okay. There's going to be a time, guys, and this, sorry for the red pill. It's going to be great when I go through a name change very soon, Paula, because it's going to happen and people are going to be calling me pillbox still. But I'm going to have to give you a big red pill right now, guys, that sometimes you have to lose your job to do the right thing. Listen, this is conditioning for something bigger. Now, a lot of the things you're saying, Brian, are true. However, like I said 30 minutes ago, the people of this world decided to allow most of this to happen. It wasn't George Bush or Obama or John McCain or any of these other actor quacks and fake astronauts and psyops and all these people on TV. That's the temptation from Satan, yes, at a level, but at a lower level, it is the people that allowed this, just as Moses leading the people out of Egypt, out of the land of Egypt. They then went right against God's words right off the bat. So this is business as usual. And there is only one solution. Of course, there's only one way, one truth, and one life. And nobody gets to the Father except through him. The realization is that even the elect can be deceived if possible, is what the Bible says. Well, as we have found out, knowing each other for now over half a decade, Brian, or whatever it's been, that the people online, the people on the internet, even the ones that claim that they're truthers and have special titles, they're also greatly deceived and are doing it wrong, completely wrong. Okay. So the people have causes. Listen, I'm gonna also tell you something else. Today is the day that the Lord has made, and he's given you an opportunity to literally give the word of God to someone who doesn't have it. And that's what this world still hates. So guys, the goal at the light of the end of the tunnel has never been different. It's never changed. There's nothing new under the sun. Man is still doing what man has always been doing now for thousands of years. And the goal has never changed. Find out who God is and what he wants you to do. And his name is Jesus. And he's going to come back, and he's not coming back to bring peace, Brian. He's coming back with a sword. That is the only solution for this plane of existence, Brian.
Yep.
And it's going to get worse. But you got to realize that these are all precursors to the mark of the beast. How do we know the mark of the beast is going to happen? Because the Bible told me so. Right. That's what matters here, right? So the realization is that people need to know when truth is more. I'm sorry, but and I'm not trying to say that I do things better. I don't. I'm a terrible sinner. And anything I've ever had or accomplished is not even me anyway. It's God has given me everything, Brian. But I have to tell you this, that I am more than happy to give up anything for truth. And what happens is that eventually you're going to have to tell your job you're discriminating my religious beliefs. However you want to put it, that's what you have to tell them. I am, by whatever paperwork that you have, that, sir, business owner, corporation, whatever it is, whoever they are, they need to be told, if it's in their language, fine. Yes, this is against my religion. No, you cannot do this to me, period, end of story, because it's against what I am, first of all. And number two, we've had plenty of diseases and issues for the past 6,000 years. And it was actually the old law in the Bible, of course, of, people needing to wash their hands and things is the only actual solution to be without disease and to be without sickness is to just
Correct.
be clean. It has nothing to do with being away from people and covering your face. And this is all an abomination. And it just shows how stupid everybody is, guys. Everybody's stupid. And then, I mean, I'm not part of, but I've been around the block in the so-called truth movement and the underground and, knowledge against the world and, finding out, who's actually awake. And even all of them were completely wrapped up in the last 4 years with Trump. I mean, Paula remembers the guy, Rand Campbell, we used to hang out with. He was claiming, this is 5 years ago, claiming, oh, Trump might be a truther. And this is supposed to be one of the most woke groups on the planet of existence. I don't just hang out with the noobs. And it's like, what are you talking about? And here we are 4 years later, a lot of people that are Christians or that are skeptics or that are non-believers of the world and believe in God and supposedly believe the Bible and hold it to a higher standard were scared to death that a man was going to enter some White House on a lawn in some place called Washington and in this place we call North America, which I think is Babylon, but that's another argument.
Yep, I agree.
Everybody wanted to complain about this and politicians and elections and things like that. And I didn't get into it with anybody this year about it because I just didn't have time. I've been extremely busy, Brian. And I'm going to need you to help me out with some things later. But everybody was scared to death about who was going to win an election. Guys, I just don't know what part of Jesus's words or the apostles or when God spoke to because clearly the politicians weren't caring about what Moses was trying to say. Guess who solved that problem, Brian? Guess who solved that problem? God solved that problem, right?
We're not
going to change any politicians. The Pharaoh knew that he was wrong, obviously, but God even hardened his heart. What did God do? God hardened the heart of the Pharaoh. So who am I interested in whose opinion, whose law? What matters? God matters. That's the life that matters. Without God, there is no life. God matters. His opinion matters. And when he says do something, you do it. And be not of this world. Guys, you cannot serve two masters. This isn't a mystery. Go ahead, Paula. Take it away.
I was just going to say, speaking of Pharaoh, I mean, it had to be all kinds of something crazy, not only for him to chase Israel across the dry Red Sea, right? The God of Israel is obviously holding the water apart, and you chase after the people that he's protecting. That's stupid. And then, 5 minutes after this all happens, all the plagues and all this stuff, and they see how they've been rescued. Oh, we want to go back to Egypt. This golden calf we made ourselves is the one who got us out of there. Now we want to go back. I mean, it's never about reason or who has a good argument or what the facts are. It's never about that. It's always about absolute madness brought on by evil, by rebellion against God, and people go crazy. I think everybody's unhinged now. I mean, when you see what's being said in public in all the Western governments and how many people are okay with it, then you know the end is near. Not because the newspaper said this or that or somebody was, everybody says my audio is low. Not because somebody, is running for office or whatever it is. The problem is that they don't know prophecy. Christians don't know prophecy. I just turned up my volume. They're saying I was low. I'll have to check my system volume again. I
apologize. I really apologize for blowing their eardrums again. I'm trying to calm down.
Oh, no problem.
No, some are saying it's okay on their end, but go ahead.
All right, I'll check it anyway when I'm done with my little spiel here. But the thing is that not only just with Pharaoh, with people going crazy, being crazy stupid, is that even during the tribulation that's about to happen, there's still going to be a bunch of people get saved, and they will pay with their heads. Literally, they will be beheaded for acknowledging that Jesus is God and following his teachings. So we still don't have it that bad yet. It's being set up and we're seeing it,
right.
And it's scary enough, but when it actually becomes reality, for now, we can still buy stuff, we can still work, we can still travel a little bit, however crippled. We can still watch what we want if we want to watch something on TV. You can still sign up for things. You you do all these things, so it's semi-normal. But as soon as what the test was, I think last spring, was to see how much shock the people can take and still go along like blind, stupid sheep.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it was a successful test. And like I've been saying, you guys, that's like they see us heading toward the end of a cliff and they step on the gas. They want to go faster and get there sooner because they can taste the power of the world government. And they just, are not going to let up. They're never going to let it go back the way it was. And even if,
Ever.
right, and even if people make their own country, right? Freedom-loving people from around the world, you got your own country, that's just peachy. Can you take on the whole rest of the world with your pitchforks and torches? Can you do
Exactly.
that? And can you, even if you have a compound, it makes you a bigger target, and B, you have to defend it against everyone and the worst enemies. I mean, you could hold your own against marauders and gangs and stuff like that, but not the UN troops who don't give a rip about killing you or torturing you or whatever it is they want to do. And it's scary enough right now, but the fact that we're seeing that worldwide level of absolute tyranny is absolutely the days of Noah, and that's when God steps in. And that's what we have to be prepared for.
Right. So man can't fix it, Brian. Man's not going to fix this. These people have allowed this to happen. Right. And it is the great deception, bro. And they're actually poisoning us in a much more obvious way, Brian, not just through the signals and things like that. Because I don't know a lot about that stuff. That's more around your alley. I am a little bit on a different, I guess we are very different in so many ways, Brian, but I have a different viewpoint as of recently. And this deception is so big, even when people find things out, they don't care. People, it's just like when you try to show somebody a deception that's an atheist, right? They're an atheist. That, you know what the term atheist means? It actually means denialist. And there's actually no such thing as an atheist. There's just different levels of denialism. People want to believe what they want to believe because it makes them feel good. Circa 1750, 1850, whatever those guys are named, James Hudson, Charles Lyell, Charles Darwin, Rasmussen Darwin, all these people of yore believe something to hide from God. So guess what the police department does when somebody in the police department commits a crime?
Oh, they do internal. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
They help that just get silenced. We're going to, push it under the rug. Even when, what do organizations of where we live do when they take people's kids? There's places called CPS, APS. They're the most corrupt organizations on the plane of existence. They're
Agreed.
Actually committing probably more crime. So this illusion is going to carry on. And, I can claim citizenship like apostles in the Bible. I'll say, yeah, I have a right to be here. I was born here. Yeah, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, born and raised. Right now, I'm just north of Mexico, south of the 33rd parallel. Right now, is any more information I can get for you, officer? That's fine if I want to get my tail out of a situation. But as far as worrying about who's elected, that's like saying, what Satanist do I want to rule me? What Satanist do I want to care about? Which is even worse. Who cares? They're of the world anyway. None of that matters. It's all a huge distraction. Right. The biggest deception is right here. When you go back into the Discord channels, when you go on YouTube and you find those Christian channels that act like they're Christians, no, that's where actually the deception continues. Everybody wants to defend special hierarchy books. And everybody wants to defend, the book of Enoch says this, so it's more important. Well, okay, can you show me what's important? Can you, anytime you ask somebody when it comes to these pseudepigrapha books or apocrypha, we're in desperate times right now, and I want to read the owner's manual. I don't want to read, Star Wars and fan fiction and things like that. So people right now will defend pseudepigrapha books, but they won't defend the name of God, Brian. Even the people that were so awake that I used to speak to that are in the 24/7 discords that are just out of their mind. These people are literally, you name it, crazy, just complete idiots everywhere. And they're supposed to be the smart ones and the truthers, but no forest on a flat earth. I'm going to watch these videos about, Cat Tooth Mountain and, all these scams and all these hoaxes and giants that were, 10,000 miles high. And these mythological stories have now encompassed everybody. Now the deception is so great. When people woke up, Brian, like I've always told you, they did not want to turn off the high. Right? They wanted to keep the high going. So they kept the high and they watch more YouTube videos and they think it's real. It's reprogramming all over again. It's Sputnik. It's the moon landing. It's all over again. But this time it's magical forest trees and actually there's no forest. That's what the new deception is. This is the greatest deception, is that these people that think they're renegades, look how cool I am. I've researched stuff on the internet and I'm smarter and I know the government's lying to me, but the Bible's stupid. And I'm going to watch this video about Kundalini experiments and getting in touch with your inner God. That's all they want to do, is worship themselves, Brian. So even on the lowest levels right now, we're playing Demolition Man, for lack of a better term. Even in the sewers, the people are deceived. And even in the sewers, they're backstabbing liars. They're deceivers. They're whoremongers. They're idolaters. They have lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of the life of this world, right? They have the love of this world within them, Brian. They don't care about the name of God. In fact, and they'll have their Bible study. I'll try to get involved. I used to, until I finally got banned for being a Christian, Brian. I got banned for defending the name of God. I got banned for all these and many times over and over again. And there'd obviously be a few people that like me, right? So they'd find a way to get me back on. And then I'd, go to town again. I'd preach the word of God, help people out. God tells me to prove all things. I actually put my money where my mouth is, Brian. And men are jealous. Other men don't want to see you do good, Brian. They want to see you fail. And if you do good, that hurts their feelings. So they need to be bigger than you. They need to be better than you. No, I can't let this Brian guy figure this out. And, so let's find a reason to gaslight him and let's, kick him out of here. Let's ban him. That's what this is on the lowest levels of the truth groups. These are supposed to be the renegade heroes of the world. We're going to spread truth. And then we're going to, like usual, we're going to eventually do experiments and all this ridiculous trash of nonsense, man. It's all completely worthless. And that's what the internet hero truth movement wants to talk about. They don't care if you're just trying to be a Christian. No, you don't have rights. In fact, they persecute us just like the government will. The government's going to cut our head off. They're the people that are going to rat us out. These so-called truthers are the people that are going to say, he's over here, Mr. Policeman, Mr. Government Agent. The Christian's hiding right here. Oh, they're in that house over there. Oh, they go pray over there. That's what these so-called truthers are going to do to us when it really happens, when it really goes down. So make no mistake about it. That's how great of a deception this is, Brian. This is so much worse than what people realize. And listen, I'm not a doomsayer. God has given me another day to preach his word. I love doing what God wants me to do. And I don't do it enough, and I'm not good enough to do it. He still allows me to do it, Brian. That's what matters. I have a relationship with God now. I'm just telling you, none of that stuff matters when it comes to man, because all I got to do is say no. As soon as something happens where somebody is held down and forced to take something medically, there will be a certain shift that occurs. Now, I don't see that happening maybe tomorrow in the near future. I think it's going to happen eventually. However, it's already been happening, right?
Right.
It's already been happening. There's nothing new under the sun. But my point is, that's not who banned myself and Paula from certain places on the internet. It's not who harassed us for going into a Bible study, let's say YouTube Hangout, and voicing our opinion because we're Bible literalists. That wasn't the government banning us, Brian. That wasn't the government hating us and slandering us. And most of them claim to believe the Bible, Brian. Almost every single in fact, I can go to the atheist Hangout right now, and I'll at least not be banned. I'll, last 5 minutes with the talking. They're going to have to, kick me before they lose their mind. But I'm not even allowed to go to these so-called truther channels. I'm only allowed to go where either people really hate me or really like me. The jealous haters of this world, they just are, that's what they are. They're of the world, and they claim to be Christian. They claim to believe the Bible. They'll use special words, right? They'll say they're Hebrew Israelites. which is
Yeah.
kind of a ridiculous trend going on right now, and they don't believe the law. And then you got these ones that just they'll take things out of the Bible and they'll put the title on their name because it makes them feel special, and they'll read the book of Enoch. They care about Enoch, but if you defend the word Jesus, the name Jesus, that's how I know that name is God's name, because of the way that this world reacts. Not just the hater, not just the Satanist or the atheist, the fake Christian, the wolves in sheep's clothing, Brian. That's what this deception is about. It's about waking up to the fact that the person you were talking to in a hangout probably last month or a year ago, that's where the liars are. Those are the most dangerous people. Those are the ones that are backsliders, backstabbers, scoffers, you name it. Of course, everybody's probably going to say, well, listen to this guy right now. He's saying all this negative. I've been getting banned for 7 years, and I just ignited my channel again less than a week ago. You can ask Paul and Brian as my witness, is that I don't even want to be on here. I was asked to come on here. And every time I would try to do anything in a certain direction, I would get banned because I'm a Christian, not because of my attitude, not because I'm a mean person. I can be a mean person. Sure, I can have a bad attitude. But the reason we know it's not about that, Brian, is because guess what? These places already banned Bible literalists. So are they going to say the same thing about her, that she's a raving lunatic like they say about me? Brian?
Right.
So guess what? Yeah. So sorry, you can't use that excuse because that's what, and I've heard them lie recently. And in fact, there's some people that still like me over there that contact me, and I got big ears, Brian. When you want to hear something, when you want to know something, just ask God to give you ears, and nothing gets by you. I hear everything. If somebody's going to, do something behind my back, I always find out. How's that possible? It's because God is good, Brian. God is so good. He's going to help you every step of the way. But remember, we got to push our egos out of the way. So I can't care about, my past and what I can do. It's not, because God's going to do everything. All I can do is answer to him and speak the word, Brian. But in this deception, it is so great. Even the elect are deceived. And worse than that, the people that are, again, this is where I'm trying to run this home. It's the ones calling themselves the Bible believers, or they're called themselves Christians. Those are the ones that have tried to literally kill me at this point. They just want to push me to the side. What does the Bible say? It says, if you hate your brother without a cause or unjustly, then that is the same as a murderer, and there will be no murder in the kingdom of heaven, Brian. So that hatred that people did, that when people hate other people and they just want to inflict pain on them unjustly, and they, especially when it's an innocent bystander, somebody brand new, you haven't even heard about, you give somebody a chance, right? They don't want to give chances. They want to hate because they want themselves, just like the big daddy government, Brian, they want to be worshipped. That's why all they talk about is, look how many toys I have. Look how many guns I have. Look how many cars I have. Look how good I am. And I've been doing this for this long. And I have 6 barns and this and that. Well, that's what people do on the internet. That's what this is, right? This is Sodom and Gomorrah, Brian. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. And we can go to those places. I can, the angel can take me down to Sodom and Gomorrah. It doesn't mean I'm going to fix the place. The angel doesn't take me down to Sodom and Gomorrah to talk to people because I'm going to fix the place. He's going to say, maybe you can help get a few of these people out of here before God annihilates this place off the plane of existence and turns it into a glass parking lot full of sulfur, Brian. That sometimes that little tiny word that you got to get to the next person, that might be the most important mission that God wants done that day. So rejoice in the fact that you still have the chance, and take that opportunity when you can, Brian, to make sure that people know that God is first, the Bible's first. Jesus is the only way, only truth, only life, and nobody gets to the Father except through him, Brian. That's what this is about. It's about doing the will of God.
Yep, I agree. 100%. 100%.
And we can't do that if we're not listening.
When I first met you guys, I just learned about flat Earth, and I agreed with it, the whole 9 yards. But I was still, in a way, pushing evolution, and that we were part monkey. And I kept trying to convince my wife, and she was like, no, even though she wasn't at that time a flat earther or nothing. Well, actually, we became flat earthers at the exact same time. And the funny thing is, I thought I was hiding it and keeping it away, and come to find out, she was watching it behind me the whole time. And then when I revealed, okay, I think it's flat. And she's like, well, it is. Yeah, I've been watching everything while you were doing your thing. I'm like, really? I thought I was hiding it pretty well. Even though I had a big screen TV right there that was showing everything, here I think I'm hiding it, you know, because I wanted to make sure before I brought it to her attention that this is a fact. She knows how I am. I don't usually say anything until I know for sure. That's when you can hear me get loud. And it was just funny that she understood it. She's on the same page, and I like that because I don't have a baller as a wife, and that usually causes problems that I heard.
You
And
just mentioned it, Brian.
yep,
That's why
yep,
they failed. You know why you know why all these men fail on the internet, almost all of them, because they don't have a woman to turn to, because they have failed as men. If you don't have a woman to turn to verify things that are important in life, it's a problem. And even
yes,
Paul in the Bible, I think struggled with this maybe a little bit. I'm a little loose on that topic. I of course need to read more, but there's a reason why God made woman, right? Because
yes,
Adam would listen. Here's the point, and it's the most obvious thing, that without the creation of the woman, Adam would actually be pointless in a sense, because without that combination, without the full creation and God making Eve, the man really doesn't have the man can't prove anything. The man has to actually, in a way, swallow his pride. Now, when it says, remember that the and I can probably figure out how to say this correctly without sounding stupid, but when the woman is to obviously um, listen to the man, and the man clearly listens to God, well, sometimes in order to listen to God, the man has to listen to the woman, Brian.
right, right. I bounce everything off of my wife,
Right.
and when I do that, I usually get the right answer. Literally, if I have a question, like I'll tell you right now, the ones who woke me up was Paula, you, and her. That's the ones that woke me up to God. I, you guys used to come on my channel. Used to do shows, but I stayed away from the whole God issue for a while because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to be wrong. It's like when I tried to figure out the whole Jesus thing, I stayed away from saying Jesus because I was scared to be wrong. And I had to overcome that and go, it is what it is. And I even looked up and I said, God, if I'm wrong, please forgive me, but this is where I'm placing my faith. And I think I'm correct, but if I'm wrong, please forgive me. But however, when I ask God to show me the truth, show me everything that's going down, he literally lays it all out for me. Literally the next day I wake up, I have the answer. It's right there. And that it's so weird to go to bed and you think you have the answer and you really don't. That's it's or you go to bed without the answer, but then you wake up and God just gave you everything. And that I thank him greatly because without him I wouldn't have been awoke. I wouldn't have been woken up like I am. Anything. It's all because of him. I used to always make the comment, "Hey, thank you, Paula. Thank you, Pillbox. Thank." I always tell my wife, "It's because of you I woke up," and she's like, "No, it's because of God." And I'm like, "Well, you had something to do with it. I'm just saying. But she always says, "God."
Right.
Yeah, like you always said. You guys always said that to me, but I always tried to. I'm just letting you guys know. You guys got me there. And because of that, that woke me up to totally so many different things. And once, like flat Earth, that's what did it. Knowing that there was a dome, knowing that a firmament, whatever you want to, we'll call it right, and that God separated the waters from the waters and the whole 9 yards. Once I really realized that and come to terms that we're in this place that was created for us, you have to come to that conclusion. If you don't, there's an issue blocking it, and you need to wake up. It just, I'm sorry, anybody listening that has not come to that conclusion, please relook at this. Listen to what we're talking about. It's literally, it's in your face, and that's the sad part. If you're not accepting it, you're not going to go where you need to go. I know I'm going home. I'm going home when all this is done. I'm not worried. Like I said before, my fear of death's gone. As soon as everything starts to break off, I know that, uh, especially, hey, when everything goes down and I'm hurting and I'm on my way out, I'm gonna be smiling. I'm gonna be smiling because I'm going home.
Amen.
It's that's just how it is. That's how I'm looking at it. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the thing is especially as Christians, that's supposed to be our focus anyway. And I have this Proverbs up, Proverbs 1:5, let the wise listen and add to their learning and let the discerning get guidance. Because the common denominator in what both of you guys said was people not listening, not paying attention, and letting their pride shut out certain people, whether it's men or women. I mean, it's political, it's religious, it's anything. People don't listen. They surface skim, they
Yep.
soundbite, but they don't want to do depth because it takes time and you have to sit and listen. And you can't sit there and go, how can I, put out a quick zinger against whatever somebody said that I don't like? And it's so one sided now where even reason itself has been expressly stated as some kind of privilege that needs to be gotten rid of. Reason and logic and hard work ethic, those are all demonized
Mm-hmm.
now. So anyone who has any sense or any compassion as a human being or any thoughts that aren't controlled, you're the enemy now. Whether you like it or not, you're the enemy.
Yep.
And this is just, it's all coming to such a head now, and people are so conditioned, so mind controlled by their own choice because it's a gazillion steps. It's, death by a thousand cuts. At every step of the way, they're like, no, I just want to accept the story that I'm told, you know? And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like with some of the stuff Pillbox mentioned too, is about if you say something different, you say Jesus is God, or you say, that there's, I have a personal conviction and differs from yours, and no matter how politely you say it, you're the enemy. You got to be shouted down. You got to be banned. You have to be hounded. And that's just online. Those people now have power. That kind of mentality has power. And because they have power, now it's getting quote unquote real because now they can actually do something to you and not just gripe about you online. Now they can actually do something to you. And that's why one of the gazillion reasons why it is that we are in the end times. It's not just because, oh, everybody always says it's the end times, right? It's because we're seeing things we haven't seen since the days of Noah, as far as anybody can tell about the descriptions of it, because obviously none of us were there. And I'm also trying to monkey with my volume here and watch the meter to see what it does. It doesn't seem to make any difference what I do on my microphone, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, back to the topic. People don't listen. They cannot abide thoughts that don't make them feel better or put them in the accepted group. And we're just seeing little bits of that up to this point, but now it's out on Main Street, parading. And that's why the world is what it is right now, because it's the top of a mountain full of bad decisions. And it all started as like, I think it was somebody, Tocqueville, somebody like that a long time ago had visited America and said, America is great because America is good. If America ever ceases to be good, it will cease to be great. And even though that sounds like a truism, a little trite saying, it's true because what we had here, at least for a while, was a consensus of biblical values, of basics, of hard work, logic and reason, and compassion for fellow human beings, and not coveting somebody else's property, gratitude, all those good qualities. And now they're gone because that's the only way they were going to topple this country. And they did it to Europe first. They used to be there, Christianity used to be big, however flawed, but the values went with it. And because of that, we've been a little bit behind, but now they've set up shop here because they so thoroughly degraded the moral fiber of the country that they can do whatever they want because we're weak, because we're immoral. It always comes back to that if we are holding to the values of the Bible, however, polite, mildly to put that, those values, more than one secular person has noted that those values are what lead to happy civilizations. And now it's all gone. The values are gone. So people don't have anything left but an empty shell of what they think is probably good. And it doesn't work anymore because there's no consensus, because there's no foundation for morality except the state. And it's exactly what Orwell said in 1984, where the state is God, and they can tell you that every thought or memory you have that's not what they want is false, and you need to be brainwashed and corrected. And they're using those very terms right now in the mainstream, and it's not conspiracy theory anymore. And this is why I say there's a gazillion reasons why these are the end times. And what I said before, it still holds true, that this is, God will still have compassion every step of the way. There's 21 different steps of increasing judgment during the last 7 years of tribulation. And he does it in steps because he gives people a chance to say, okay, I'm about to judge you. I'm not going to do it all at once. I'm going to let it out little bits at a time. And at every step, you have a chance to finally get it through your head that God is not your enemy. It's evil that's your enemy. And they just don't get it. All through even the worst of the judgments, there's people going, the Bible is saying, all these terrible things happening, but they still wouldn't give them up. They wouldn't give up their pharmakia. They wouldn't give up their idol worship. And they just hate God all the more for the disasters, even though they brought them on themselves. And yet at another point, it gets so bad that some people do say, okay, you're a God and I'm not. I finally see it. And some people just take a lot more, hits with a 2x4 to finally get sense into them than others. And we're swimming in a world of people like that, are so dense, morally, not stupid dense, but morally dense, that this is what it's going to take. And this is a last chance. This is God giving one last chance to people to acknowledge who's God and who isn't, not because he has an ego problem. How can he? He's God, he's the creator. I mean, we don't say we have an ego problem if we tell our dog to sit for a treat, That's just the way it is. And what he wants is relationship. What he wants is for people to just be one with him, and it isn't much to ask. I mean, why go against your creator? But that's what the world is, and that's why it's so bad. And I hope everybody could hear me. I know my volume, I cannot get it to go up to where it should be, and I have everything cranked. So, but you guys are fine.
You seem just like as loud as Brian to me, though. It seems balanced.
Okay, I just had to sit really close to my mic.
Well, but before I forget, you just brought it up, and I was just thinking about talking about this because we can't be here all night because I have to eventually say something important, Paula. Okay. And that is the Bible is true and Jesus is God. And listen, guys, we don't have a big following. I have even a micro following compared to the Bible Literalist channel. And listen, if you're a friend of Paula's and you know that she obviously should be listened to for a reason, just based on the work ethic alone, then you're a friend of mine, and it's that simple. I would protect anybody that takes the Bible seriously and knows it's the word of God. I only have one condition. I need you to not be afraid of what Bible literalists just said, and that's who God is. I'm going to help every single one of you understand Yod He Vav He in the Bible and what it's not and what it's supposed to be. But let me tell you this right now. Jesus is God in the flesh incarnate. And on my trials and tribulations on this ridiculous internet escapade that I've been on since whatever 2012, as soon as I found out that people yelled at each other on this thing about topics, was that the biggest thing is that people can't believe Jesus is God. And most of them are, all of them claim they believe the Bible and they have it figured out. I need you to know one thing. I need you to trust me on this one thing. And I will prove myself to you. If you need me to, just ask, trust me. I'm going to do something about it. And you're going to be pretty shocked at some of the students that Bible Literalist has actually made. And it's going to really shock the world very soon, because there's going to be some information that will be revealed. So God bless you, Christians, for being in these perilous times. But I need you to tell people that if they're calling Jesus the Son of God only, they really hate it when you say, are you saying he's only the Son of God? Oh, that's not what I say. No, yes, they are. They're saying Jesus is just the Son of God. Make sure that you never let that go without asking them why they are polytheists. Because that is a form of polytheistic, multiple God belief systems, which is what the entire rest of the world agrees with. The entire rest of the world is telling you that Jesus isn't God. And now we're going to have these so-called Bible studies and teach that Jesus is just the Son of God. And then when the person, gets upset, because they are going to, if you're doing your job correctly and that person doesn't understand how deceived they are, they're going to get upset, and good on you for getting them upset. This is probably the salvation issue. You guys want to talk about salvation issues? If you're saying God needs help, you need help. If you're saying God can't do the job and he needs to create a savior, and then there's a relationship with here and he needs to create a son specifically for a job. No. I'm saying there's only one God. I'm the monotheist. I'm the one saying that there's only one God, just as prescribed in Isaiah, as the Hebrews wrote down. Okay, 1,000 years before Christ was here, I and myself, God alone, am the only Savior. I am the Lord. That's what Isaiah says. And Isaiah also says he will be born. Okay, he will be born and be known as the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Okay, there's only one option. You cannot attribute things of God to something that is not God, period, end of story. And if God is the only Savior, Jesus is God. It's that simple. There is no other option. That's what the Jews knew 2,000 years ago. The ones that believe their Bibles. Don't get me. What about these people that believe this? Well, have they read the book? Because it's in the Old Testament. If we could get together and do this in a couple of years and figure out what this book says, why can't you? Shouldn't you put some effort into that? Listen, this is the biggest deception on the plane of existence. The number one deception is everybody not acknowledging that Yeshua HaMashiach, if you have to say that, is God in the flesh. The Savior is God. There is no other option. That's what the Old Testament says. That's what the New Testament says. And ask your friend after they deny that Jesus is God. He's just the Son of God. So God has to create a Savior, and I guess God writes things down just for joking, because none of these people can believe the Bible. We can go through 150 to 500 different Bible verses where it's going to show us that God is not only the Savior, Jesus is God. And yes, that is his name. That's the name that strikes fear into the hearts of people. Just as Brian admitted this a couple minutes ago, he was scared to accept the name. That's how we know it's the name of God, and by its works. And you will see it, and you will know it by its fruit, right? It's that simple. But this is the number one deception on the plane of existence. This is what I've been trying to teach people, and this is what matters. And remember, the Bible is without error. It is the man who interprets it. It is up to them to earnestly study it. Listen, I'm going to tell you one more thing. You can't test the Bible. The Bible tests you, and it's that simple. That's the Word of God. You think this is just a pop-up book? If it's the Word of God, how could you even think that you could challenge it? And guess what happens every time somebody does? Sucks for them. That's the realization. This has been a red pill. God bless you guys. We love you. We want you to be here. We want to take part in these studies, but we have to lay down the law. The law says, love God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. And I don't have to tell Paula what that means, but for some reason, people don't realize if you do that, that means you trust God. If I believe God with all my heart, all my mind, all my soul, I'm going to trust his word and not second guess it. And that's the main problem. People can't even follow the first laws. You people with your special titles and all this, sacred name group, Hebrew Israelites, everybody, none of you believe the Bible. Not one of you believes the Bible. And that's how we know what the truth is. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. What did you want to say, Brian?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I put that verse up on Isaiah 9:6. For us to us a child is born, a son is given, the government will be on his shoulders, and he, the son, the child, will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. There's people don't realize there, as I've said before, there's supposedly going to be a debate where I will make a presentation on whether Jesus is merely a human. That's the claim, and I will be hopefully arguing for the negative, that Jesus is not just a human. And they think that this is only a New Testament teaching about the plurality of God. It is all over. I'm going to spend a lot of time on the whole Bible, not just the Old Testament. People will say that if we focus on the New Testament, that somehow we're only reading half the Bible. But then they go and rip out the new half of the Bible and only read the Old. So anyway, point being, without giving too much away, that the Bible does say more than just the Messiah is a really nice guy. It doesn't just say that, and it doesn't say that someday he gets elevated to godhood, because that's exactly what the Mormons teach, what Eastern Orthodox teaches, theosis. That you can. This is man rising to be a god is the theme of every false religion, and this is the only one where God becomes a man. It's totally different. It's unique. I've gone over that before on the uniqueness of their faith. But the point is that when you see how people react, as Bill Box was just saying, when you see how people react only to the name of Jesus, not to the Hebrew pronunciations, whatever they may be, because it seems to change from one day to the next. And I've read quite a lot about it, and most people who think are so adamant about how to pronounce it are totally wrong. But when you see how they react and which religions they tolerate, they being also the deep state, they're all into New Age and metaphysics and astrology and everything and anything but the Christian God and the Bible. You can quote the Vedas, you can talk about the writings, the Norse religions, you can talk about the Hindu Vedas. Everything's cool. It's not, they freely talk about that stuff, but as soon as you say Bible and Jesus, you are immediately trying to ram your religion down their throats, and you get ostracized. You get sent to the ghetto of whatever message board or server you're in. They want you to be contained and quarantined, because otherwise your bickering might get out. Well, the reason there's bickering is because there's gatekeepers, and there's gatekeepers
Correct.
because most Christians don't know enough to spot one. And you don't spot one just by reading a few devotionals. You spot one by keeping your nose in the Word and by, running your ideas across other people. And too many people assume that whatever they understand from the Scriptures is the Scripture, and everybody who disagrees is just giving their opinion. That's extremely arrogant. It's insulting, because nobody's an infallible interpreter. All we can do is say, like I intend to do in this or any other debate coming up, is to say, what can you get from the Bible? What are the words on the page? How many ways can they be taken, and why? And then say, okay, what can you rule out? What can you say can't be said in there? And that yet, as soon as you say something like, says, like this verse I got up here, the Son is the mighty God and the everlasting Father, they got to twist it. They got to allegorize it. They got to euphemize it. They have to do everything but take it the way it is. And that's, shocker, why I call myself Bible literalist. I think that's a more objective approach to any text, is to take it the way it gives itself to you. And this is a prophecy. It's about somebody who's coming, and the people to whom it was said, the Jews, or the Israelites originally, didn't have a problem with this being anything but literal. It's a promise for them. How could they take it some other way? But in time, they got the sages and Talmudists who eventually called themselves Masoretes, and then gave the Christian world their Old Testament. That's just a whole topic of its own. But the point is that we're supposed to be salt and light, and we can't do that if we don't know anything, we don't have any savor because we don't spend time with Jesus, we don't spend time with other believers, and we don't spend time in the Word. And then we have the audacity to go, why are we not influential? Why are we not changing society? Because the way we're supposed to change it is one person at a time. Because even, when Jesus was here the first time, he had his disciples, they did not run an insurrection against Rome. Rome was evil. Rome was brutal. Rome was occupying their land. And nobody, Jesus and nobody there's ever said, we got to take down the Romans. We got to get our own Caesar in office. And that doesn't mean that in a constitutional republic, if there ever was such a thing, there isn't now, that you shouldn't try to do what's within your rights as a citizen to do. I'm not saying that, but I am saying our mandate as Christians is, first of all, to spread the gospel. And we cannot do that if we don't know what it is, if we don't have that relationship ourselves, because Jesus is going to say to some people, I never knew you. Even though you did stuff in my name, I never knew you. And why didn't he? Because they didn't understand that salvation is not just believing a set of facts, it's accepting a gift from someone who wants to be your father. And you accept it or you don't, and then you either live like that matters or you don't. And those are the kind of people who change the world. But we're at the end now. There isn't any more time, much at all, for that kind of change to happen. You wanted to say something, Brian?
Well, yeah, I was gonna get into something real quick that was how do I say this? You have a lot of people now doing the new age thing to where they want to, like, okay, for instance, Joe Rogan mentioning DMT all the time and stuff like that, pushing that, get into that different realm, and it helps you and this and that. But they're always talking about how they're talking with something that's serpent like and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm noticing this big push for a new age, and they're always talking about your third eye
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Just that's all, that's what I'm seeing huge, and it's a big push. It's a big push, and it's affecting a lot of even your Christians because they're starting to look at certain things in that light, and it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on. Go ahead.
Wait a minute, Brian. You just let the cat out of the bag because 4 years ago we saw a bunch of people lose their minds on things like that and ridiculous drugs and DMT and self worship and look what I can do. I found this cool video on the internet. If you don't believe it, then you're an idiot. And we got hated for it. Those people were doing DMT, bragging about the inner mind and the third eye and whatever. And then even this is back when the blood over intent hoax was going around. People are cutting themselves on pieces of paper that say, I want to get a new car and I'm going to cut my
Yep,
hand open
I
and
remember
pour it
that.
over the piece of paper. And then, oh, well, I almost got a new car, so it works. Yeah. I mean, just people are insane, man. And these are the people that, told us they assured us they weren't going to stab us in the back. Remember?
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
see in their mind, we are, to use a phrase that are often used for quote unquote high church people, the frozen chosen. We don't have spirituality. We're Christians, ergo we are not spiritual. We're just, got our noses in the book, right? And that's all they think happens is you just read the book and follow the rules, and that's their opinion of what it means to be a Christian. But that book tells you stuff, and it tells you who made the world, what he wants from you, and what kind of a person you should be. That's the goal of any spirituality. And they have created this false dichotomy that even Christians have bought into, that somehow Christianity is not on the same level as spirituality. They'll even make, categories for that in their message boards and servers, where we have a spirituality and then we have a religion. And if in religion we have organized and unorganized, organized religion is the worst thing they can imagine, right? And they have given us that label, even though organization has absolutely nothing to do with whether you're spiritual. What's wrong with organizing? I mean, they organize themselves and into groups and do whatever they are passionate about, But somehow, if Christians do that, we're an organized religion, and somehow we're not spiritual anymore, and they just turn away. And the saddest thing is that Christians just yawn or smile and go, well, maybe someday you'll know Jesus the way I do, and I just wish you well, and I know I'll see you in heaven. So, and all these platitudes that tell me their spirituality isn't there, because they don't understand that this is a relationship, and they didn't really take it seriously, and they've either not been born or they've remained in infancy. And that's another thing, that just a little tangent, is how it seems most preachers today in light and in real life, quote unquote, or online, they want to keep Christians in playpens. They're too afraid that they might grow up too fast and either get confused or go off the path, because they aren't ready for it. They're never ready for it. They will keep you in the playpen for your whole spiritual life, keep you happy with your baby food and your safe space and your toys, and never get out of the playpen. Because, and even now, it's like, can't you see we're about to go over the edge of a huge waterfall, and you're trying to teach them how to sit in their little floaty, and paddle. It's like, no, that we don't have time for 50 years in the playpen, and then maybe let them think about something adult. There's just no time for that anymore. And the immaturity is half the reason, as I've been complaining about for 5 years now. Where are the Christians? Why don't they stand up? All these false teachings are flying around, and yes, I can call them false, because when you know what's true, then what isn't true must be false. And we get our truth from the Bible, from the Creator. But the thing is that Christians don't know this and don't care if Jesus' name is being dragged through the mud and called earth pig and all this stuff. They don't care. They don't know how to defend it, and they just want everyone to get along and sing Kumbaya by the campfire. But we're supposed to be salt and light. We're supposed to be what Jesus said. I had earlier, where truth divides. I think I had that one up, where Jesus said, don't think that I came to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. And what he's talking about is that if you stand for truth, you will have enemies. That's just what truth does. Jesus wasn't saying he came here to cause trouble. He's saying, I came here to bring truth, and you know what happens when you do that. What happened to him? He had no sin. He didn't do anything wrong to anybody, but he did call out truth to power, and they got him killed for that. And people are hating him to this day. People who call themselves followers of God, the Hebrew roots especially. I called them the hack last week, a little acronym I made up, but they think that, they're going to be those people who think they're doing God a service when they kill you, because they deny the God they think they're worshiping and think that you're, some kind of pagan. That's their famous word, their favorite word. It's just like the race card. Now you're a pagan if you say the name Jesus, or you read the New Testament beyond the red letters in the Gospels. It's crazy times, but even though this is prophesied, nobody in their right mind wants to be living in this. We all want to just go about our lives and be able to go to the store and have people over and do what we want to do with our lives. But this is not that day, to quote Lord of the Rings, Aragorn at the last battle. This is not that day. We're here whether we like it or not. And it's been, a series of generations of people making bad decisions and not taking this stuff seriously. And in order to get through however much we have to get through, because we already, as I mentioned before, there's people, especially Christians, and sometimes, like the Uyghurs, or however you pronounce that, in China, being severely persecuted. They lose everything. They get kidnapped, tortured, murdered, sold into slavery. This has happened throughout history, and a lot of times to Christians somewhere in the world. The Christians are going through that. So it isn't about not suffering. It's about being prepared when it comes to you. And all I can tell anybody for sure, like I'm going to go through again on Sunday, is that we, as the body of Christ, are not to go through the wrath of God. And that's the key, the wrath of God, because it will be far worse than the wrath of man or Satan has ever been. And when you belong to God, you know you won't suffer that. But it doesn't mean you won't suffer. But it does mean you need to be tight with God, because you will have precious little else going forward.
I agree. 100%. 100%. You know, it's when I finally came to terms and let it go and just said, okay, God, if I'm wrong, please forgive me. However, I didn't think I was wrong. I took what you said, took what Pillbox said, took what my wife said, and analyzed it, and I came to conclusion. It is what it is. It's Jesus is the man. It's God. It's the Holy Trinity. It's the whole 9 yards right there. It's you either take it all or you don't take it at all.
Right.
That's where we're at. All right, I'm sorry. I might have to go. I had my water heater bust,
Oh,
and I have to go take care of it.
Thanks,
I
Brian.
understand.
Appreciate you, man. Have fun with that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Thank you all. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, man. See you soon.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for coming. It's been an hour and a half, a little bit more than an hour and a half, so we might want to wrap it up anyhow
Okay.
and
Yeah,
do
do you
this
want to
again
just
sometime.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to say something real quick before? Just say something now, Brian, before you go. We're obviously not done, and anyway, I'm not going to talk too much. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, all I want to say is, everybody do what you can, prepare, but trust God. Trust God 100%. You we have no choice. That's where we're at. You do have a choice, but don't choose the wrong one. That's all I got to say. Took me a long time to get to this point, and I'm there. Thank you for having me. You guys are awesome. Everybody in the chat, you're awesome. And I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you
Good chat
later,
tonight.
buddy.
Good chat tonight. Thanks, Brian. Can you share my screen, Paula, or is that impossible in this current setup?
Let me see. Without sharing too many other things, I guess I can do what I can do is move this over here. I'm going to cover up the chat a little bit, and I got this thing squished enough that hopefully it won't show too much of anything else. But right now we got still Brian's camera on. I think it's whoever's speaking, it shows their picture.
Let's do a quick test right quick.
Yeah,
See
there
here.
you are.
Thanks, Brian, again. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. This is the Great Deception. I know there's some new faces out there. Dank, thank you for your support. I don't know enough people. Again, I've lost most of my friends. I've lost all my family. Honestly, it's okay because that's truth. And I didn't even have the nerve. I've been going back and forth, and Paula has known me for many years. Some of you might know me a little bit. That doesn't matter. Obviously, what matters here is God, and that's what we do. But for the first time ever, I'm plugging my channel. I've had it over for 15 years. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. And God, as usual, gives me all the answers. And it wasn't until literally a few months ago, something happened when I was already going crazy. We were already dealing with the world events, and then personal bad things were happening to me. I was still smiling and saying, thank you, God. God is so good. I was humming to myself about 5 months ago, even, God is so good to me. I can't believe it. And literally walking down the street at one of my job sites, humming, thank you, God. So that's the type of Christian I am. So during these perilous times, I'm not saying I'm good, but I certainly want to be thankful for what God has given us. Because remember, knowledge and truth is obviously only important when it's from God, if it's real truth. If it's carnal knowledge, obviously that's not good. If it's knowledge from man, it's not even knowledge. Philosophy is actually a fiction. There's no such thing. It's one of those lies that they told us about that we fell for. But something has happened recently, and I'm gonna say some crazy things, and you're not gonna believe. A lot of you people are not gonna believe the things that are coming out of my mouth because of what extreme circumstances have happened recently. Some of you might, because nothing surprises you anymore. You know, when you go so far in life and then you come to this point, some of you will be able to handle the truth, but not many. And all I have to say is, even if you ignore me now, you're going to hear about me later. That's how big this deception is. This whole world is so deceived. And I'm assuming there's got to be dozens, if not hundreds, of other people out there that know about this deception. I just haven't seen anybody talk about it. And as much as I don't want to be, and I'd rather just be lazy, you know, I was ready to retire, Paula, and I was going in a different direction. And, you know, you've seen me do things in a sense, off the grid, off of YouTube on the internet. And then something happened a few months ago where I knew I was obligated because of the things God shows us, right? Like when God answers your prayers and shows you things, you are obligated. Don't forget that you have to answer to him and say, thank you, God. Now what do I do? Or what's the next step? Or take it and run with it, whatever you need to do with that. Well, that's what I had to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So for the first time ever, and it's so weird because I'm going through a channel name. I don't even know what the new channel name is going to be. Well, I do, but I don't want to sound stupid and then it's not what I say. Current channel is MG42 Pillbox. That was just a band name that I had 20 years ago, and it's lasted the test of time. But believe it or not, there's been some scrutiny, and it's a good thing. It's actually a double-edged sword for my benefit. So I'm going to have a name change soon. I started making videos a long time ago, stopped for a long time, and then just recently, literally within the last 7 days, had to literally go after this world. So it's going to be me versus this world. And I don't care how many people are against me. This word of truth, the word that God has given me, is going to be out. I'm going to at least do my job. Even though I have failed for this long, I'm not going to fail anymore because God isn't letting me fail. So things might seem crazy for a while. Again, if you're already realizing that we shouldn't be surprised anymore, realize that the deception is so great. Already realize now when we get out of here and we go home, as Brian puts it, we are going to be very surprised on the things that they were slipping right out from underneath us. They were holding it right under our nose, and we didn't realize how bad the deception is. And remember, sometimes it's the people that are close to you or that pretend that they're your friends are the ones you got to watch out for. But this deception is so great. I can't even begin to talk about it right now because I'd have to get going, and there's no stopping this deception once I start talking about it. It is so great. And I never thought I was going to be anywhere near such an idea for me to ever have to speak about something like that. I've been asking God for the answers for a long time, and he's answered me. So because God has answered me like he always did, I'm more than obligated to do the will of God, as it says in the Bible. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. For if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of this life is not of the Father, but is of this world. And the world passeth away, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. And that's what matters here, is that once we get an opportunity, remember, we're going to regret all the opportunities. We've already regretting the opportunities that we missed in the past. So when God, in these perilous times, when God sends you a message and gives you a mission now, it's never been a better time to finally take that opportunity to do the will of God, which means we fully repented. We weren't afraid of the consequences of what this world is going to do to us. And it's not violence, of course. It's just giving the word that he gave us, and the truth. And there is no truth without him. And of course, all things are made by him, and his name is Jesus. So I thank you guys. Again, my channel is MG42 Pillbox, and our joint effort channel is Blood Always Finds Its Level. And that's where you will also see me very soon. So thank you very much, guys. I will give it to Paula. Have a good
All right, thanks for that, Pillbox. And again, for both you and Brian to be available tonight, we can just do live streams now and then like we used to, and just shoot the breeze, because I have the one thing I do on my channel is more of a teaching thing, and this is where we get to talk about some other things. And just as a little housekeeping, if I get messages in Discord when this is on, I'm not going to even try to open it up because it'll show up on 3 different channels. And on this one, and or I'm on also DLive and Twitch. So this is just a thing that I wanted you guys to know. And So we have, hopefully not plans, I want to say, but intentions to do this more often as we're able, because we don't know, none of us knows how long we'll be able to live stream, at least here. So if there's anything online that you want, download it now if you can, and you can still probably go to DLive and Twitch for a while, even if this I say is the main one where most everybody is. I think there's been only one person at one of the other live stream places, but however long it lasts, because the big tech is turning the screws on everybody with wrong think, which Christians certainly are. So anything you want, get it now. And that in general, for life in general, while you can still purchase things, if you've been putting anything off, or if you need, some new shoes and you've been putting it off, get it now while you can still get the stuff, because there could be shortages. We just don't know. But as Christians, like Brian said, also, we know where we're going next. We just don't know how much we have to put up with before then. And whatever we're putting up with is way better than what people in a lot of the parts of the world have been putting up with. So anyway, thanks all you for coming that came to listen tonight on no notice at all. And we'll catch you all later, everybody.